Welcome to Creepy and Geeky. I'm your host, Robert, and on today's episode, I'm talking to new guest Sarah Miles about John Carpenter's The Thing. Sarah is a film essayist based in London. Welcome to the show, Sarah.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here, and I just can't believe any of this voodoo bullshit.
Yeah, no, this will be a lot of fun. I have previously covered The Thing on two other episodes. One with my great friend Donna, who unfortunately passed earlier this year. She and I covered it on a very early episode. It was like the second episode she and I ever did together. We covered The Thing and They Live in an episode about our favorite um, uh, Carpenter movies, and this one was her particular favorite. So um, I would have loved to have had a chance to talk to her about it again. But I'm glad to be able to talk to you about it. And there was another episode I did with Harper Smith on uh, during my double features. It was during a What's Your Favorite Double Feature episode on The Thing and The Hateful Eight and the connections between them. So it was definitely go back and check out those episodes. But today we're going to get into, you know, hopefully, looking at it individually by itself. And hopefully we'll have a lot of fun with that. But yeah, so this movie came out in 1982. It was unfortunately came out right after E.T. did, and this and Blade Runner both came out like the same week, and both got savaged. Basically, did not make any money, and this kind of messed up John Carpenter for a few years because he had a movie deal in place, and because this one did so bad, he lost the movie deal. Um, and it's like from what I've seen, it's like his most favorite movie he's ever made, and then it just got so messed up that they didn't. Thankfully, it came back around not too long afterward. It hit video, and it gained a cult following, as it should, and has since been reevaluated. Because at the time, even the critics hated it. So not only did it do poorly at the box office, but the critics hated it as well. But not too long afterward, it hit video, and it did super well, and people have said it's his best movie ever since. So, and I would argue, while it's not my favorite movie, it is definitely probably his best movie. And I think it's a passion project of his in a lot of ways. So
Oh, absolutely.
yeah.
And I mean, this is my favorite movie. I absolutely love it. I have my DVD copy. I have a combo. It's a DVD and a Blu-ray, but the box is made to look like a VHS case.
Yeah, that's
I
cool.
have the bells and whistles Arrow
Yeah,
steelbook release, and
nice.
I've got another steelbook with the Japanese poster on
Oh,
it.
okay.
So
Very cool.
and I also have a lamp of the film cells, which I is kind of my pride and joy.
Yeah, no, that's very cool. Yeah, no, I just have this. I have the Scream Factory Blu-ray currently. That's all I have. I kept hoping that they would eventually get the 4K version of it and re-release it, but they don't seem to be. They I think they might have lost the license on it already. Um,
uh,
but there is a 4K out there. I'll probably grab it eventually, but it's fairly bare bones. But I'll just keep my Blu-ray just for the special
yeah.
features and stuff.
Oh
Um,
yeah. I mean, one thing I would love it if, because even on kind of like the newest Blu-rays, the commentary
mhm.
is still the one that Carpenter and Kurt Russell did for the not Laserdisc.
Yeah,
It's still that one that's on there. So I would love it if there could be like a new commentary, maybe like
yeah,
especially kind of like now with the whole legacy of it. But interestingly, I first saw the film
yeah.
around about 2011. It
Okay,
was in the lead up to the
the
prequel.
prequel. Yeah,
Yes. So I watched it and I think I said at the time that I liked it, but it was a bit um I found it a bit gory, a bit too gory at the time, but
Yeah.
I loved the atmosphere, and I think I definitely mentioned Kurt Russell's hair because everything he goes through in that film, his hair is immaculate
Yeah. Yeah.
throughout. But no, but over time I have kind of revisited it several times. I've gotten to see it on the big screen a few times, and I love this film. It's kind of, I mean, you could almost say it's a comfort watch at times. Like that the music when the dun dun
Yeah.
dun dun, like when that begins, it's kind of like a yes,
Yeah.
this is familiar, this is comfortable for me. Um which is so weird to say when this is part of Carpenter's Apocalypse trilogy.
Yeah. The first part. Yeah.
Oh yes. But it is, I adore this film. It is
Yeah.
there is I mean, there really is just not much, nothing about it I would change. It's like, I mean, the practical effects,
Yeah.
um, the atmosphere, and it just kind of develops and kind of grows into this absolutely horrifying situation.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. No, I like for me, and I know I've mentioned this on the earlier episodes. I saw this, I believe, at a drive-in in 1982 when it came out. Um,
Oh,
so
oh, love
I
that.
was only 8 at the time, so definitely was probably too young to really appreciate it. Which was fine. But the funny thing is I don't believe I watched it again until um would have to be sometime after 2018. And
Oh
2018 is when
wow.
um, and I liked horror movies. Like I'd seen all the Freddy's and Jasons, and I'd watched all the Screams, and all the various things here and there throughout the years. But right around
Mm.
2018, early 2018, is when I got um where I really started to embrace horror, and really got into it enough that it's now become a major thing, and including my now, you know, 4+ years podcasting about it. Um, it's definitely when I went back and watched it, it was surprising just how good it still holds up, even with the like 1980s practical effects and stuff like that, because it's one of those things where practical effects, because yes, you can look back on it and see that it's very silly looking at times, but you can really kind of appreciate it in a lot of ways that, like, digital effects, you can't always appreciate how, like, good or bad those are, because there's some digital effects, especially like late 90s, early 2000s digital effects, that just don't age well.
Yeah.
And it really makes the movie look um, cheap in a lot of ways. Whereas with digital or with the practical effects, you can appreciate, and don't get me wrong, there are definitely some practical effects that are very cheap looking too. But when you get this level of it, you can very much appreciate exactly what they're going for. And this was all by Rob Bottin, who was only 22 at the time.
Yes, and if I recall correctly, it basically pretty much put him in the hospital
Yeah, yeah,
from
for exhaustion.
overworking. I think
Yeah,
it was Dog Thing. Dog Thing was what
yeah,
nearly kind of
yeah.
had him laid up for a bit. But I would say, kind of hand on my heart, the only effect that I would say maybe hasn't aged the best would be the head crab.
Yeah, I mean, but
In
even then, it's
particular, the
still
shot
kind of,
where it's just kind of
yeah,
skittering away.
yeah.
Like that is the only one that I would say that looks a little silly.
Sure, but I mean, even
And
in that, I still think it's still a very good achievement for what they were doing, especially when you think
oh,
about
absolutely.
1982. They were doing this, and this was all a 22-year-old guy who's just making this stuff up as he was going along.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and it's just, I don't know, it's just fantastic. Putting this in terms of where Carpenter was at in his filmography. This is year after Escape from New York came out. And I would say everything up to this point felt more gritty, more like low budget, and it was. Everything that he had done up until this point, Assault from Precinct 13, um, Halloween, uh, The Fog, and Escape from New York, all of these movies were just done on shoestring budgets, doing what they could, felt um, very not cheap, but just very low budget and very um, of its time, where the thing becomes this next level thing. I think that after he makes this movie, he starts to burn on all cylinders. And his movie making steps up big time because we've got um, that right after this is Christine, and then Starman, and then Big Trouble in Little China, Prince of Darkness, and They Live. You've got this run of movies that like he just I don't know. He just does so much better after this point. Like I know this was like disheartening for him in terms of how well this did, but like he continues to make movies. Like immediately after this, the next year he makes Christine. So it's not like he slowed down any, like losing that film deal he had. Like thankfully, whoever picked him up next was just like, okay, here's Christine, here's Starman. Um, and he still made movies throughout the 80s, and arguably his run from Halloween to They Live, this 10-year span, is an unbroken string of like bangers. Like they are just all 100% great movies.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, Christine is another one I absolutely
Yes,
love.
me
The
too.
the first time I ever watched Christine and it got to the bit where the car heals itself,
Yeah,
I had to stop and rewind because I wanted to watch that all over again because I was just like, that is fucking nuts. I love that.
yeah, yeah. No, so I think that the making of the thing really got him like both, like as much as the reception to it really hurt, I think that it really elevated his game in a way that nothing else had before. And I think that this is truly where he becomes the master that he is now. Um,
Absolutely. Like he leveled up
oh yeah,
essentially.
yeah,
Like he got up to the next level. It is his kind of like from here on out. I mean, the work like the special effects in his film is on like an is on another level. Just like some of the kind of set pieces, absolutely. And I mean, and like we said, this is the first part of his
his
Apocalypse
apocalypse.
trilogy,
Yeah,
which Prince of Darkness, which I don't love as much as some do, but
right.
the first time I ever watched it, I had the flu, so that might have affected things. And then In the Mouth of Madness, which I also really like that film.
Yeah,
That's that's a crazy time. Um, the best Stephen King movie that isn't a Stephen King book.
yeah, definitely. Um, yeah, no, I think this one is pivotal in like like in Carpenter's career. It's pivotal in um uh Kurt Russell's career.
Oh,
The
absolutely.
one-two
Because
punch of this and what's it called? Escape from New York
oh
both
yeah,
elevate him to from Disney actor
yeah.
to gritty actor. And so
Exactly.
it's
He is
perfect.
like maybe like yeah, not even a decade away from oh, Strongest Kid in the World or whatever it's
Yeah.
called.
Yeah.
Like one of those live action Disney movies. I mean, and even kind of like in the same year as The Thing, he did do the voice for Fox and the Hound.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he still had a toe in the Disney pool, but
Yeah.
after this, man,
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
way.
No,
So
after this, he makes like action movies, and he's just making a lot more gritty material and stuff, and becomes the Kurt Russell we all know and love now.
Also, fun fact: allegedly, Kurt Russell's name written down were Walt Disney's last words.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like I read that somewhere, and obviously, you take those sort of things with a grain of salt.
Right.
But yeah, apparently, Walt Disney's last words were Kurt Russell.
That
But
would
I
be
mean,
very
also in the
interesting.
cast, you've got like Keith David, who,
Yes.
like, as a kid, I grew up knowing him from his voice work, things like
Yeah.
Gargoyles, and then
Yeah.
I kind of became familiar with him, his other work. I mean, he's still doing voice acting,
Yeah. Yeah.
and stuff like that, and doing great. And then also like Wilford Brimley, who I believe um was kind of like quite known for his westerns at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And I do think he definitely has like a bit of a cowboy moment when
Hmm.
he's like trashing up the radio
Yeah.
room
Yeah.
and Childs approaches and he like shoots and he goes, "I'll kill you."
Yeah.
I think that is his him regressing back to his cowboy years there.
Right. Right. That's so funny. Um, yeah, it's a fun movie peppered with a lot of fun characters. Um, it's set in the Antarctic in this research station, and everybody's just stuck there. It's the first week of winter, and so they're all having to make sure to very very much hunker down. And it's interesting too because um this is based on the story of who goes there, um, and I'm blanking on the author's name. Um,
Joseph Campbell.
there you go, Joseph Campbell. Um, and it's previously been filmed in 1951. There was a movie called The Thing from Another World, and by Carpenter's favorite director, Howard Hawks. And so, he was psyched about remaking this movie, and making it and keeping it closer to the original source material as well. Um, so you can look at them as two sides to the same coin. And then, of course, as we mentioned earlier, there's a 2011 prequel that goes into what happened at the Norwegian station. Um,
Yeah, which always that like kind of
it's not
what.
terrible, but the digital effects make it really bad. And there are actually physical. They had actually done
Yes.
physical um, 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 effects in that movie, but the studio was just like, no, it doesn't look good. Let's go back over it with digital, and they really messed that up. I think if they had kept to the digital or the physical effects, they would have been
Oh,
fine.
absolutely. But I think it was like because when I watched this thing, not that
Yeah,
thing, this is also the thing. The scene where Copper and McCready go to the Norwegian base and it's all in ruins,
yeah,
and there's just hints
yeah.
of what went down there. That kind of terrified me first time I
Hmm.
watched it. And of course, the image of the guy in the chair with the frozen blood dripping down his
Yeah,
wrist from where he slashed his wrist and his throat. Like that was like it was horrifying. It was like this horrifying haunted house kind of thing.
yeah, yeah,
Um and so then to try to answer what happened there, it just ends up being very unsatisfying.
yeah. It's a weird thing to like do, for sure, because like it wasn't necessary at all to have to go back and answer it. I don't think that it's terrible. It's one of those things where it's an unnecessary movie, but for what it is, it's not terrible. And I'm glad they didn't try to remake the thing rather than just go, okay, well, let's find out what happened beforehand if we're going to do that, and then nobody's going to get out of it alive because nobody did, in the
Yeah.
original. So you kind of like get left with this feeling of, well, what does it matter? Um, but I do think it's interesting. A little piece of trivia about it is when McCready and them go to the Norwegian base. That actually is the burned out remains of their base at the end. So they filmed all that after the fact, and then just kind of put it back into the movie. So everything you're seeing in the burned out base is basically from their base, from the American
Yes.
base.
And
So
it's like I have kind of like when watching that sequence, I have tried to be like tried to match the two
yeah,
sets like so nerdy, I know, but I'm trying to be like, okay, so that's that corridor. And I mean just the use of space in this movie
yeah,
because they're in this complete wilderness in like this little kind of plodded down bit of civilization, and the way that the camera moves through that space, there's just some really great kind of like shots, like kind of like tracking shots through the environment.
yeah,
um and a few times they kind of like have the shots of a few times of people running through the corridors. It just has, you just have such a sense of that space that that is essentially kind of like the whole world,
yeah,
almost like that is all that they have, and outside of that is just nothing
yeah,
that they can, you know, survive for an amount of time.
yeah. Well, and
And
I
then you
mean,
introduce something,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
No, and then of course you introduce the thing into that, and this kind of this space has just become hostile as
yeah,
hell.
yeah. Uh, that's one of the things I like about it too. It's very, it leads into other movies that eventually come later, especially stuff like, like two of Quentin Tarantino's movies, both Reservoir Dogs, his first movie, and eventually uh, um, The Hateful Eight, and it's about like who the enemy within,
Yeah.
and locked into this room, locked into this building that you can't get out of because the environment itself outside is also hostile, but now there's something inside, that is very hostile. um I did see there was some uh there was some trivia on IMDb that said, that was talking about, how this was also, kind of an allegory at the time of, when it came out about, AIDS, especially during the blood testing sequence, because today we are a lot more informed about it, but during the 80s, especially in 1982, AIDS was still so unknown, and people were demonizing, the gay community over it, calling it the gay plague and the gay cancer, um, and we just didn't know anything about it, and so it was really one of those, just another one of the existential fears we had in the 80s, on top of like the satanic panic and serial killers, and the ever-present threat of nuclear Armageddon. We had a lot going on in the 80s. Like, don't get me wrong, we have a lot going on today too.
Yeah,
Don't,
I would,
you know,
yeah.
but it feels like, I don't know, to me, having grown up in the 80s, today feels terrible, but today actually feels manageable. So compared to what it,
Interesting.
yeah.
Cause,
So it,
cause, cause, like, I mean, cause I was born 87,
yeah,
so I am very much in that firmly in that millennial bracket.
yeah.
So, um,
You're more of a
like,
90s kid. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, 9/11 happened when I was like,
yeah,
what, 14?
yeah,
Um, so yeah, and it's so kind of like it's always been kind of like ever since then, just oh boy, downhill.
yeah,
Um, but no, I think that's a very interesting kind of take on it, especially when you
yeah.
consider like the just one cell is enough to infect a
Yes,
whole person. Um, I think that definitely isn't, and also just like the emphasis on blood and well, fluid, for lack
yeah.
of a better term, like the bit with the dogs, like the dog thing is like spraying this like horrible
Oh, yeah,
viscous fluid, and everything just looks so gooey.
yeah,
And when Blair is doing the autopsy on the things, and it just looks so shiny, and like it I can absolutely see how that would,
yeah,
how a lot of that would play into sort of those fears, the fears of kind of disease, of infection,
yeah,
and essentially kind of like your body turning against you.
Yeah. I think it's interesting too because I feel like if this movie had come out post 2020, this would be more of an allegory for COVID. You could see it in that way as well about like this infection that's just moving amongst people and it's just yeah. So it definitely could play like I think anybody who's watching it post 2020 who hasn't seen it, they could make that, connection as well. So there's definitely this movie again, I feel like Carpenter's movies, generally speaking, not all of them, but generally speaking, a lot of them are very timeless. Because even though the settings and the costumes and everything like that may look very dated, the themes and the commentary within them are unfortunately still very relevant. So,
Yes, and I mean, kind of like the COVID reading, I'm not sure I entirely gel with that because I think part of the fear is, in the thing, is kind of the loss of self.
yeah, yeah,
Because you're these people are being taken over, and granted, we don't know what happens on like a psychological level. I know there was some debate amongst the actors about if they were a thing, if they knew they were a thing.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so I don't think I don't think COVID kind of like a COVID reading kind of comes with that same sort of questioning of
right.
identity.
No, I don't think with the identity part of it. I just think the isolation, and then kind of um, the fears about who might have it, who doesn't have it, that kind of stuff like that. How it affects the people differently and stuff like that. There are readings that you could take of it that won't fully align, like
Oh
other
yeah.
readings and stuff like that. But I just feel like this is more timeless. This movie is unfortunately just as timeless as anything else because when you think of it, any kind of rapidly spreading disease.
Oh, absolutely.
So
And like I mean, the themes of social paranoia and
mhm,
the kind of can you trust the people around you,
yeah,
that is absolutely timeless. And
absolutely. Yeah. No, I agree. I think that, it makes for a very interesting setup just as a whole. Um just again, all of his movies generally have this theme of that can translate to stuff going on now as well, which I think is very cool of what how John Carpenter kind of has always seen the world, unfortunately, that he sees this as a terrible world. But I always feel like there's even with this first part of the Apocalypse trilogy, there always feels like there is some hope to it, even in the face of like the ending that we get in here. Um, there is some hope to things, and that's a sense that I've always kind of gotten out of his work. That everything's terrible, everything's gonna be terrible, but we got to keep fighting for it. So
yeah,
you know,
I
so
mean, because I mean, obviously, with the thing that the ending is huge debate for people
yeah,
is Child's the thing, is Child's not the thing,
right,
and people have made crazy in-depth video essays that I think are taking certain things a bit too like it's not that deep, bro. Um, but I always like the first time I ever watched it, the way I always took it was that they are both human, and McCready's kind of laugh when Charles takes the drink is more a case of both of them accepting like we're going to die, paranoia is not going to do us any good anymore, might as well have a drink.
yeah,
That was always how I read it.
yeah. No, I think so too. I think it's hard to the ending is very ambiguous. I would tend to believe that neither one of them is the thing. I think that that's ultimately the best answer is just that Childs is telling the truth. He went after looking for Blair, and he did not because again, what's said in the movie is that they can't replicate, you know, piercings and stuff like that, and Child's ear is pierced in that final
Yeah,
sequence.
although the piercing thing only came in with the prequel, so
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I kind of put a question mark over that.
True, true.
Um, I mean, I think one of the video essays that says that Child's is the thing is going on about like his coat being a different color when that's clearly just the lighting and the
Right, right.
snow effect on him, and it's just like
Well, and
I
they
say
talk
again, it
about how he doesn't have as much breath, like the
oh
breath effects come out and everything,
yeah,
and it's like, sure, but that does some people, like after you acclimate, and he was out in the cold longer than you know McCready was,
McCready.
then he would, your breath would kind of acclimate a little bit. Plus, he wasn't heavy breathing like Mac was. So
Yeah, I just yeah, my first
I like to
instinct
think that
watching
they were
it,
both human,
yeah,
that they were
they're
just
both human.
unfortunately that you know McCready killed the thing, killed the creature, and they managed to do it, but they're both gonna unfortunately die out there because they're gonna
Yeah,
freeze to
they
death.
die, but it means that the world is safe from this
Yeah.
incredibly destructive thing. Because I think it was like something like because Blair with his very high-tech computer simulation um earlier in the film, it was something like 7,000 hours until the whole population is infected, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, these characters that we have spent time with, who have, done the best they could in that situation.
Yeah.
Because that's also another thing I love about this film is that generally everyone makes pretty logical, sensible decisions. But things still go wrong anyway. Like it's not like, oh, we need something to happen, so someone needs to make a stupid decision.
Right.
They are making the best possible decisions they can
Yeah.
with the information they have, and things still go wrong because they are dealing with something so horrifically um, beyond what they can
Yeah.
understand. Um,
One, it makes them doubt each other. Like,
yeah,
because I mean, if you've got a creature that can take over everybody, and and you don't know who is who, it makes sense that you're gonna have to whittle this down. And eventually they do. Like, eventually they finally get it down to the four of them at the very end that they know are human because they figure out the blood test.
the blood
um
testing, which I think is definitely one of the standout scenes in the
oh
film.
yeah.
Just the tension, the quiet of it,
Yeah.
um, and then it popping up when you kind of
Yeah.
least expect it. But
Yeah.
then it ends on such a hilarious bit with where they're all kind of crowded around Gary with the flamethrowers, and then
Right.
and then he just kind of pauses and he says, "I know that you gentlemen have been through a lot." But if you have the time, I would rather not spend the rest of this winter tied to this fucking couch.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious.
No, it
Like
is.
I love it.
Yeah.
And then yeah, it's like okay, we're completely certain we know who's here. Let's deal with this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then of course you got Blair in the shed,
Yeah.
um, with his little spacecraft.
Yeah, that he's creating out of the helicopter, which is interesting.
I'm like, would that have worked?
I
Who
wouldn't
knows?
think so, but maybe he
Uh,
maybe he went over and got some parts from the actual ship too. I don't know. Um,
maybe we don't know what
yeah. I think it's
and
interesting too, because like you get the revelation that that ship has been there for like 100,000 years.
yeah.
That ship has been, and it's only because these scientists got curious and opened it up and took this creature out of it that this is even possible. Um, I do want to remark that Blair's projections for how long this would take to uh, basically take over the planet equates to a little over 3 years. So,
Oh wow.
yeah, yeah. So
Hmm.
if it got loose into the population, it would take just over 3 years to, completely subsume the entire population.
Gee.
Yeah. So,
And
I would
let's be
like to
real, at
think,
some point during that, some government, if became like widely known what was
yeah.
happening, some government would try to nuke somewhere.
Oh yeah, they would just nuke everything.
Mm.
um, apparently, the dog thing was created by Stan Winston.
Yes.
who declined screen credit as he didn't want to take away from Rob Bottin's work. He did get a special thank you in the closing credits.
Yes,
So
I believe they brought him on after
yeah,
Botin was hospitalized.
it would make
But
sense.
sorry,
Yeah.
when you said dog thing, I thought you were going to talk about that excellent
In
dog actor,
Oh,
um,
Jed, yes,
Jed. Like,
yes, he's so
it,
good. Like
he's so good,
he's just easily just walking around, just just doing his thing, and
and he just looks so calculating,
yeah,
and he's a dog. He's just a dog, and but he does it so well. And it's like, I mean, it's like one time. It's
yeah,
like it came up and I was like, oh no, the dog in the thing is a really good actor. And it was like, what? And I'm like, no, I am serious.
yeah,
Like that dog is amazing.
yeah. So he was half wolf, half Malamute. And it said Jed was an excellent animal actor, never looking at the camera, the dolly, or the crew members. So um, it's wild because most dogs are not that well, or animals in general are not that well trained or
No.
well actors.
And
Uh,
he just has such an uncanny quality to
yeah,
him
yeah,
because it definitely does feel like something pretending to be a dog rather than a
yes,
dog.
yeah,
And of course when he goes into the kennels, there is kind of like a kind of stiffness to him that compared to the other dogs, that
yeah.
there is something markedly very different from him. And then his face opens up, and and that was definitely a moment where like the first time I watched it, I was like, whoa, this just escalated quickly.
Yeah, yeah,
Kind of like after so much kind of slowness, and after
yeah,
the creepy kind of wandering around the Norwegian base, suddenly bam.
yeah,
Like fleshy tentacles and all of that, and the noise, the sound, the
hmm,
kind of it almost insectoid, kind of like chittering. I don't know how you would describe that sound.
yeah,
Um, kind of just the sound of that, and then like everyone gathers and everyone is just like, "What the hell?" And of course we get the line, Mac wants the flamethrower. Mac wants the what?
yeah.
Oh,
Oh man, no, this movie's great. Like this movie's got a great, like, just there's so much going on in it. Um it's interesting, the little bits, trivia bits and stuff like this. So like when Dr. Cooper is trying to resuscitate the other man, and his arms go into the body and get cut off. That's actually not the actor who played Dr. Cooper. When he comes back up with his arms missing, they actually got a double amputee stand-in and had a mask of the doctor uh, put on him, when you watch it and that, you can see it. You can actually
oh yeah,
absolutely see the mask at that point. But when the first time you watch that and you don't know what's going on, you are like, "Oh my god, that's crazy." But like, I love that kind of trickery, that movie trickery that they had to do back then because they didn't have digital effects. Nowadays, they would just cover the actor's arms in green sleeves,
yeah.
and digitize those out. Um, and they would have never had a physical body to open up um like that, which is crazy. I just, there's so much about these effects and everything that I just love. um it, because the effects are just so next level, especially for a movie in 1982. um they were People really don't understand that, like, the effects that we see in the 1980s were next level. Like, that's kind of, these effects are kind of what started the whole special effects Oscar, because they were so good, that they were changing things. And then when digital came in the 90s, um, digital helps. I think that's what's interesting about today. I think that when you use digital, it should be more of a, um it should be a combination of physical and digital, because digital definitely has its place, in so much that you could do, like I said, you just have somebody's arms,
Yeah.
done in green sleeves and edit them out and everything, that's perfect. That's great reasons to do that kind of stuff, to get those effects that you just can't get otherwise. But using practical effects as much as possible as well
I
is
feel like
just, there's a good balance.
the overlap, like the point that kind of is Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park, yeah, absolutely.
Like, because they use some practical, they use some digital, and I do think
And it's seamless.
it is. And I think even, all right, a percentage of this might be nostalgia talking, but I do think that the CGI in Jurassic Park generally does hold up.
It does actually,
And
yeah.
it's also just like how it's used, and then, like the moments, like
Yeah.
that T-Rex shows up and you 100% believe it.
Yeah. No, and I think that's, it's one of those rare moments that that 90s era um digital effects, and unfortunately because it worked so well in Jurassic Park, that kind of led to an even bigger explosion of people trying to do that. And to both good and bad. I mean, you get lots of mixed cases out of this. But I think, like you said, Jurassic Park did it so well because it tried to marry the two, and it's actually the most effective way to do it. Like I was saying before, is
It's
that
like
you should do it this way. No, go
it
ahead.
approached CGI in the same way as it approached the practical effects.
Yeah,
It didn't just see the CGI as like a quick fix, essentially. It
absolutely. Yeah,
kind of used it alongside the practical. So like they meshed together, and it meant that the CGI was kind of better for it, because it was like CGI being approached as if it was a practical effect rather than just oh, we can just do this on a computer.
yeah. No, I think that that is what works best, especially in today's um, effects. When you see stuff like a Marvel movie. These days, they're using a mixture of practical and like practical sets used with green screens and stuff like that to give these things a little bit more of an expansive look, rather than just doing full digital and stuff like that. Which is like, if you go back and watch the Star Wars prequels, those, or like the Spy Kids movies and stuff like that, because those were all done super digital on digital sets and stuff like that.
Super digital.
They are very, very obviously not the best, when you go back and look at them, including the Star Wars prequels. A lot of that stuff doesn't stand up today, because it was so digital. And even though Lucasfilm was like one of the top digital people doing it at the time, ILM, um, it's just because it was all digital and it wasn't that good mix of things, it made it so that the sets, more than anything else, look so fake, and because they were.
It all just looked very plastic,
Yeah.
essentially,
And
and shiny
so,
and plastic, and
yeah,
like it had no substance.
yeah. And I think
And I
they,
think that is the thing of practical effects; it has substance.
yeah. And I think that's what's Lucasfilm has figured out nowadays, doing the, sure, that I understand the sequels aren't the greatest, but they've mixed practical, they've mixed location filming. They did more of that kind of stuff and into the TV shows and stuff like that, where you're getting a lot more, where they started filming in that surround thing called the volume. They figured out ways to make that work. And I
Hmm.
think that things are better now because they've embraced, yeah, we need to actually have physical sets, physical locations and stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, recently Project Hail Mary,
Mm,
Rocky, like he
yeah,
was a puppet on set,
yeah,
and um CGI was kind of used for, removing the wires, as it were, like the
yeah,
bits and pieces that made him work, but he was a physical presence,
yeah.
and
And I think
you
that
can
helps the
tell.
actors. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's definitely like, I mean, that's even the thing, like going back to the Marvel movies and stuff like that. You have the Hulk or Thanos, who are huge compared to the other actors, but you actually have Josh Brolin and you have Mark Ruffalo on set, all made up in their suits and everything like that as best they can. And then they got like the big head on top just to give the actors something to look at, and then they
Yeah,
can,
the eyeline.
yeah. and so they've got the performances and stuff. So I mean, there's ways of doing it that I think are working now, where you can mix this physical and the digital in ways that make a lot more sense than they used to. Because in the past, they would have just completely digitized these characters and just had you voice them, and you wouldn't have ever been on set. And I think it does take away from that when you do that. And that's what's great about this movie, is because, again, they didn't have digital. There was nothing to do. They had to make it look the best they could, um, with the technology they had at the time. And
Mm.
that's why I think that it works so well.
Oh yeah, and I mean, in that autopsy scene,
Yeah.
with Blair, like they actually had, I think, animal guts for him to kind of like take out and
Mm,
handle
yeah.
and things, and
Yeah.
it is horrible and it's real and it works.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just amazing. Like, it just, especially that sequence, like that. I think the sequence, with, where the doctor gets his arms cut off and everything like that. That whole sequence is really great, because it's kind of like the set piece of a lot of it, in terms of
Mm.
the practical effects, because you have the body opening, then you have the head
Yes.
separating, and then at the
Yeah, the
front of
head kind of like stretching,
yeah,
pulling off like the bursts of
yeah.
like green fluid, so not even like a natural thing. And then it sprouts legs,
Yeah.
and then another head comes out of the chest cavity, and it's like, oh my God,
Yeah,
what is going on?
there's a lot going on. And I think, in terms of, because the dog sequence and then the dog thing at the end, like, there's the big thing, they're more static, and whereas, like,
Yes.
this one has a lot going on. um you kind of have the suit versions of them, like the one that, um um what was I gonna say, um the one when they're testing the blood. I can't
Oh
remember
yeah,
the
yeah.
character's name.
Oh, Palmer.
Palmer, yeah, when Palmer becomes one, it's more of like a suit and like makeup and stuff like that. um which is great, but it's
Oh
also
yeah.
just, the sequence when they're with the doctor and everything, and the head coming off and becoming a spider, that is so insane. I mean, and just especially because they said, where is it, um it says the funniest line in there.
Oh, you got to
Uh,
be fucking kidding.
yeah, you got to be fucking kidding. Um, I think it said Carpenter. Yeah, yeah. David Clinton's line, "You've got to be fucking kidding," is Kurt Russell's favorite and never fails to crack him up.
I mean,
Because it's great.
same.
Because the
And
audience
especially,
is saying that,
yeah. And it's almost kind of even funnier, like with the following scene, you find out that Palmer is a thing.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like, it's so funny too, because so many of them get infected so fast that there's multiple things in there at one time.
Yes.
Um,
Because
and
you have the dog and you see like someone in a doorway, but you
yeah,
don't know who it is.
yeah.
Um, which I think the best candidate for that is probably Palmer.
Yeah. Well, the
And for a
interesting
long
thing is they never use one of the actors for that
no, they
shadow.
didn't. It was
That's
a
actually,
crew member.
yeah, it was just a crew member, so that way the audience would never know who it was.
No, this
So
is true. And then like and for a while I was like, oh, but it couldn't be Palmer because then why didn't he shares a room with Childs? Why didn't he just attack Childs? But then the
yeah,
dog thing happened, so he could have just gotten interrupted like
yeah,
before he had a chance to. Um and then you have Norris, who he seems to have some sort of heart condition. So I always kind of took that as like that was happening as he was being taken over, and
hmm,
essentially the thing didn't know what to do with whatever health thing Norris
yeah,
had going on, and that's why he kind of collapsed and things.
yeah,
So I think the most likely candidate for the doorway is Palmer.
yeah, yeah. Um, it is interesting. I want to go back to talking about the score too, because they
Mm.
they did get Ennio Morricone. They were originally going to get Jerry Goldsmith to do it, but he passed on
Ah,
it. So Ennio Morricone got chosen. And the score is like, if you had told me that it was a John Carpenter score, I would have believed you because it is very John Carpenter like. He very
He
much,
does play it at
yeah,
his gigs. I was lucky enough to go to one
yeah.
a
Oh
few
wow,
years back on Halloween.
nice, nice,
Yes, that was great. In London, and he does play the Thing score as part of it, but of course he mentions Morricone, and but yeah, that is definitely quite an experience.
yeah. I don't
But
doubt it.
it is such a great score because it
It
just
is,
sets the mood
yeah,
so perfectly. Um, but it isn't too intrusive. It lets
right.
moments just kind of like I said with the blood test scene be silent until it's needed. It's lying in wait
Yeah,
until it's needed, and then just like that dun dun
yeah,
dun dun, which is both like a heartbeat and it
yeah,
also just kind of like kind of tenses you up a little bit.
yeah,
It is absolutely genius as a score.
yeah. Yeah, and very much feels like a Carpenter score in terms of
Mm,
its stripped down style and everything. But this is the first movie too that Carpenter did not do the score for of his movies. He would go on to not score some of his other ones, but he scores most of them.
mm.
Um, but yeah, I'm. It didn't really say why they chose that. Probably just because he was so busy. He didn't have time to actually score this one. Um, and like we mentioned earlier, that some of the unused portions of this score end up in Quentin Tarantino's The Hateful Eight, which is great, especially in the first when the movie opens. The score bit
I've
from that is
actually
so
not seen
fantastic.
Hateful Eight, which
Oh wow!
I'm not the biggest Tarantino fan, to be honest.
Yeah,
It's like I enjoy Tarantino movies, but then I would just rather watch the things that he's nicked stuff from. So, like, yes, I could watch Kill Bill. Kill Bill is fun, or
yeah,
I could just watch Lady Snowblood.
sure, sure. I think what he does best, being a big fan of Quentin Tarantino's stuff, is
Oh god, we're gonna get into it now.
no, 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 no. I like. I think everybody's got their own opinions and everything like that, and and I get he is a kind of divisive person himself, and not all of his movies are that great or whatever like that. But I do think that what he does best is that he takes those pieces that he likes from those movies and he puts his own spin on them. They're not ever a direct copy. And I think that's what's great about. I can understand the people's issues, but I've always felt that he's a genre mashup creator, and he creates the stories to kind of fit around those. Sure, he's doing what he does, but I don't know. I like what he does, but I do recommend if you like the thing, I definitely recommend seeing the Hateful Eight just because it's very similar, without being a copy at all because it's very much not a copy at all. But it has that people stuck in one location with the snow like ravaging outside, and trying to figure out who's who in a way. So
No,
uh,
it is. I probably should. I think the only Tarantino movies I haven't seen are that and Jackie Brown.
oh,
Now that
Jackie
I think
Brown is
about
one of
it.
my favorites.
Yeah, no, people. A lot of people. I know a lot of people who say that Jackie Brown is their favorite.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's like I actually really like Reservoir Dogs. Like I think that's a great movie, and I enjoy the ridiculousness of Inglorious Bastards.
Yeah. I For me, Django Unchained is my favorite, and then Jackie Brown. Those are my top two. So
There's
um,
things in Django I really really like, but it it needs like an hour taken out of it.
I don't necessarily disagree with you. I think maybe not an hour, but like maybe a good 20-30 minutes, sure. Um, but yeah, I don't know. This movie is so much fun. when looking at it, when going back to it, there's so much you can talk about this movie. So much so that I've done it 3 times now on this podcast. Um, and it's just it's fun to pick up new things.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
because
like
it's
just
just
little bits you notice.
yeah, exactly. Um, is there anything that we haven't mentioned that you want to talk about before we wrap things up?
Oh gosh, it's like you said, there are so many things in this film that
Yeah.
that you can talk about, and my latest rewatch, which I did in preparation for this, one thing I loved is um, there's shots a few times just before it all goes crazy in the lab where Clark is kind of hiding a scalpel. And
Yes.
you have like on one side you've got him, and then you've got McCready kind of like not quite in the background, come more like mid, but just that framing,
Oh, I love
um,
that. Yeah.
like I don't know, something about that just really struck me this time. I was just like, dang, that's some nice framing.
Well, it's interesting too because I don't think I had noticed that on my first like newer rewatch, not this one, but like my post 2018 first time rewatching it since 1982. I didn't notice that. I did get to see this in the theater. It had
Hmm.
come out for, I believe, probably its 45th anniversary a couple years ago. No, wait. No, it wouldn't be the 45th yet because that would have
No,
been
no, next year
next
would be
year.
45th.
So probably for its 40th anniversary. Let me look
Hmm.
at that. I know
We can't count.
I know, yeah. Um,
What
I
format was it? Was it like
it
digital
was
or
it
from 35 mil?
it was probably just regular digital.
Okay.
It was at an AMC. So
I got to see it in 70 mil at a cinema in
oh
Central,
yeah.
and it was great. And okay, this is so lame and nerdy, but I love when I watch a film and it's from a physical print, and there's just a little bit of age to it,
Yeah.
and that I love that. I
Yeah.
absolutely freaking love that. Like first time I ever saw Friday the 13th was from a 35 mil print, and it was so beaten up, but that just kind of made it. That just made it feel like you're watching it at like some very grubby small theater or like a drive-in, and this 70 mil print, it was really good. There was just a little bit of color um like fading and things
Yeah.
particularly in the snow. It just looked a bit kind of bluish.
Yeah. Yeah.
um and most in this particular theater, it's called the Prince Charles Cinema. um Very much well known for its kind of all-nighters, like
Yeah.
they Tarantino's actually been there quite a few times. The bar downstairs is named after him, and but everyone was usually pretty respectful. There was one drunk guy who just would not stop bitching about the color being faded. And I pretty much nearly the whole room wants to kill this one guy.
Oh man. No, but yeah, for my screening, that's when I noticed the scalpel. And
Ah.
noticed that sequence. I was like, oh, this is interesting. And so it is one of those things, seeing it on the big screen, like, seeing it, and I noticed it this time just watching it on my own TV. But it's definitely one of those things that if you get a chance to see it on the big screen, it's definitely worth it.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely.
I try to, and it's not always I don't always get a chance to, but I try to, especially if it's something at an AMC where I can use my A list. That I do. I just went and saw the 4K remaster of Fight Club, um,
Ah.
and the 45th anniversary of The Evil Dead. So yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
love that. I mean, I did a recent thing watching Akira, the new
Mm,
4K Akira.
that's cool.
Um we have the chain Odeon over
Yeah,
here, and I have something called a Limitless card, which similar kind of thing, I'm assuming, kind of like
yeah,
gets you in for
yeah,
free or for pay a certain amount a month. But
yeah.
yeah, it is good that we are kind of like, I think definitely since the pandemic there has been more of a thing of these anniversary
Revivals. Yeah,
screenings. Yeah, because
yeah,
they did recently do the Fight Club one. Um
yeah. They're doing a
and
lot lately too. I've
they do
noticed.
a lot of them. And I
Yeah,
mean, like with Mortal Kombat coming out this week, they've shown the first one.
yeah.
Um, which that was actually one of the first movies I saw after pandemic.
Yeah.
After lockdown, it was that and The Conjuring 3. Yeah.
It's like,
But
let's see, what do they got in the theater today? Like in the theater today, they're doing Asian American um cinema stuff, so they've got Crazy Rich Asians back in theater.
yeah.
Um, and then they also tonight is The Cabin in the Woods. Um,
Oh,
they're
nice.
redoing.
I would not mind seeing that on a big screen
I
again.
wish I could go see that one. I never saw it on the big screen, so that would be very cool to go see it. But I did not. I've got another podcast recording tonight at that around that time, so
Oh,
definitely not going to be able to go see that tonight. And it looks like tonight's the only night they're doing it. It was like that last week with the Evil Dead.
uh,
It was only that night that they were doing it, so I was glad I
I
got to
mean,
go do
here at the
that one.
moment we've got I mean, Exit 8, still got The Mummy hanging around,
Yeah,
Hokum, um, and also pretty big release out this week, The Sheep Detectives.
yeah. Sheep Detectives and Billie Eilish are the big ones here
Oh yeah, that
for
too.
this week.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And Devil Wears Prada too as well.
yeah, yeah. And Michael is doing big business here, so
Yeah. I can't say I'm fussed.
yeah. I have not gone to see it.
No.
Yeah, so I mean, now looking at this on Sunday, there's a Fried Green Tomatoes 35th anniversary screening. So I think it's funny that we're getting a lot of these more. That one's unfortunately excluded from A list. So it's like they do have um, these anniversary screenings that are really fun to go to. I went and saw. I've seen The Thing. I've seen Alien. I've seen
Uh,
Christine. So I've been able to go
oh,
back and see all these movies that um, I probably did not see in theaters when I was a kid. So it's
one
been kind
that's
of
on
fun to go
Monday
back.
here is Highlander.
Oh, ooh, I would
That
love to go see that. I love Highlander. So
that was a proper like video store rental one for me
yeah,
as a kid.
yeah,
Like
I have it. I
or
have it on 4K disc here at home, but
or I think
uh
I actually got one of my older brothers to rent it for me.
that's so funny. It's such a good movie. It's so dumb, but it's so good.
Yeah. It's
Um,
so dumb.
but yeah, so but yeah, so I think I would not doubt that next year there will be a 45th anniversary screening of the thing again. So definitely, if you have not seen it in the theater, go to check that out. Because again, I would not doubt that they would do that because I definitely saw it um, on the big screen. Probably um, for I would have to imagine it was for its 40th. But 5 years ago, 2020, I'm not sure. I don't think it was that long ago. Now that I'm
The
looking at,
last
let's see.
time I saw it on the
Meh.
big screen, a few years back, actually did a horror all-nighter for charity.
Yeah.
Um, and it was like, let's see, we watched The Thing, we also watched Hellraiser, Wreck. Um, oh my gosh, what else was there? We finished on Heathers. I remember
Mm,
that. Yeah, no, so watching getting to watch that as with like an all-nighter
yeah.
crowd, that was
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely fun.
Yeah, so it was for its 40th anniversary because I saw it in 2022. So, yeah, so that makes more sense. I was thinking 2020 for some reason, but yeah, 2022 is when I saw it. So it was definitely the thing's 40th anniversary. So definitely, I imagine they're going to have a 45th anniversary screening for it. So definitely
Oh yeah.
check that out. And if not, watch it on video. It's available, like we said earlier. Scream Factory's got a great disc of it. It's got a lot of
Yeah,
excellent special
I could
features.
watch it on one of my many
Yes,
physical
yeah,
copies.
exactly. But yeah, it's in the US, not currently streaming anywhere for free, but you can rent it on video on demand, or buy it
I don't
digitally
think
as
it's
well.
streaming anywhere here in the UK
Yeah,
either at the
yeah,
moment.
it's interesting. Um, but yeah, no, it's a great movie. Definitely worth the watch. And definitely probably considered to be Carpenter's best work. Next to Halloween. I mean, there's definitely going to be that. I would think that there's a lot of people who are going to put those two next to each other in terms of what the best of his are. I argue this is his best.
Yeah,
Just for the
same.
scope. And and just because it was the movie that kind of leveled him up in a lot of
Yeah,
ways. So
100%.
but my favorite movie of his is They Live. Um,
That
so
is a solid one. That is
yeah,
definitely
yeah,
like, I think for sheer kind of it's kind of like a mixture of sort of wackiness
yeah,
and social commentary. And then that fight scene,
yeah.
which, okay, so I hadn't seen They Live, but I was working in this like little cinema, and we had a TV in the sort of lobby area, and Rowdy Roddy Piper died, and one of my co-workers insisted on replaying the fight scene from They Live on the TV over and over again.
That's
So
so
for the
funny.
longest time, that was my only kind of frame for this film. And then I did finally watch it, and I was like, okay.
That's so funny. Yeah, no, it's a great movie. I can't wait to cover it again on the show. And yeah, no, but this has been fun. Thank you very much for coming on the show to talk
Thank
the
you
thing
so
with
much
me.
for having me. I'm
Yeah,
I'm always
absolutely.
happy to talk about this movie. I love it down to its bones, and every time I watch it, there's a new little thing I notice or that I just can pick up on and enjoy, and it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Absolutely. All right. Well, why don't you let people know where they can find you online?
Well, you can generally find me online lurking around on Blue Sky, where you can find me. I can never actually remember my thing on here. It's sarahjomiles.bluesky.social. Or I also very like the one thing in my life that I keep up with is keeping track of my letterboxd, and there you can find me as Sarah Jo Smiley.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show. I'm sure we can get you back on again in the future. Um, and I would love to have you back.
I'd be delighted to.
All right. Thank you again.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening. Creepy and Geeky is produced and hosted by Robert Clark. If you like what you've heard, please consider giving the show 5 stars and a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And share the podcast on social media to help spread the word. Make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast app or at creepyandgeeky.com. You can follow the podcast by going to creepyandgeeky.com and clicking on any of the social links. If you'd like to follow me, you can find my links at geekthulu.com. You can support the podcast by ordering teas and more on Teepublic or by donating to the coffee page. All of the links are in the show notes. Finally, don't forget, stay creepy.